Hi, welcome to this short introduction video on ApolloBoot ZERO release 1.2. ApolloBoot ZERO is intended for those users who want to do a clean bare metal install of AmigaOS 3.2 on their Apollo V4 device. I have an Apollo V4 standalone right here with a secondary full-size SD card installed, and I'm going to use that to boot ApolloBoot ZERO with your AmigaOS 3.2 cd.iso file from this SD card, and then we can install on any size CF card. Previous versions of ApolloBoot ZERO was limited to 8 GB. The new version you can use any size you want. So again, we're going to put the ApolloBoot ZERO files onto a FAT32 SD card together with your AmigaOS 3.2 cd.iso file, a one-on-one copy of the physical CD, and then an empty CF card, which we are going to install AmigaOS 3.2 on. So I'm going to switch off my V4, insert the CF card, and I'm going to insert my SD card. And this is the secondary card, which is available as an option from the apollocomputer.com webshop. You can also use the micro SD on the backside, of course, but I like the bigger ones because it's easier for me to handle. So I'm going to switch on the V4, straight away push both mouse buttons down to make sure that we are going to enter the early startup control boot menu, because we want to tell the system to boot not from the CF card, but we want to boot from the SD card. And the SD card, of course, contains ApolloBoot ZERO, so it will start the installation from there. I choose SD-ROM 1 in my case. Again, this is the secondary one. This is SD-ROM 0, so choose the one you are using, use and then boot, and I will actually do a boot from the SD card. So the first thing ApolloBoot ZERO will do is to do some basic checks if everything is okay. For example, if it finds your AmigaOS 3.2 cd.iso file, if it's correct, if all the ApolloBoot ZERO files are there, and then it will continue mounting the install 3.2 ADF from your AmigaOS 3.2 CD into DF0, and the ApolloBoot ZERO files mount on a DF1. So you have two virtual floppies now up and running, and it will boot from those virtual floppies. Finally, it will ask if I want to do a permanent flash of my Amiga ROM or use the map. The permanent flash makes sense if you want to use your Apollo V4 only for AmigaOS 3.2. In all other cases, choose map so you have all other options for all other OSs open. I'm going to choose map in this video. If you choose flash, it will only take 2 minutes to flash, and the whole process, as you will see it here, will be exactly the same. So now it's going to reboot from the virtual DF0 floppy, and from this point on it's really an AmigaOS 3.2 device already, because it's booting now with the AmigaOS 3.2 ROM. So this gives a real one-on-one experience comparable with a physical Amiga. So I've prepared a click me first icon, so it will guide you through the process. Please click on it because it does really do something, and if you don't click on it and just go ahead with installing, you will not get a successful result. So also there's a guide. Please follow the guide and you will be successful. First part is to prepare the CF card. So I'm going to click the install 3.2 disk icon, go to the HD tool drawer and start up HD Toolbox. I think familiar tool for most of you, but for those who don't know it, I will show you how this works. This is a CF card that has not been used before, so partition drive is not available. I have to really read the drive configuration by choosing define new, and with the file name here I have to insert a name, and very important, I have to put it on the RAM drive because it has to be saved anywhere, and the virtual floppies we're just booted from are read-only. So we put it on RAM and then give it any name, CF in my case, and I do read configuration, continue, and then you will see it will actually read that it's a 128 gigabyte CF card. So please check if it's correct with your CF card and then click OK. OK again, and then we are at the main menu. Now you can see partition drive is available, so let's click on that. And it will propose normally a default setup of 1 or 2 partitions, but you can do anything you like. You can delete a partition, you can resize any partition, in my case, I think I will choose just 1 partition. It's easy. Very important is that the first partition, your boot partition, has to be named DH0. So DH0, not any other name because it won't work. You can choose any file system you want. Of course, you have to click Advanced Options and you have to know what you're doing. If you don't know, please use the default fast file system. Okay, save changes to drive and then exit. In this stage, we have to reboot the system. Console Amiga. If you did already had a partitioned drive before, HE Toolbox will have asked you, do you want to reboot? So that's also a possibility, but in my case, I have to do it now with Control Amiga. To reboot again from the virtual floppies, and if everything went okay, you will now see that it has a DH0 partition, which it can use for the install of AmigaOS 3.2. So again, there's a click me first icon, and you have to really click it first because it will do some checks again in the background. It will, for example, see that you have a DH0 partition, and of course it needs to mount the SD card and the virtual CD to have access to the source files. So DH0 partition is found. Okay for me to format, and okay also to install the source files of Picasso 96 and Apollo Saga. I will get into that later. Okay. So it's renamed DH0 to Amiga OS. Then it's going to copy over the source files of the Picasso 96. It's a one-on-one copy from the AmiNet version. Of course, you can also use the commercial P96 in this stage if you want to. And after it has copied over the Picasso files, it will copy over the Apollo Saga driver files, which are necessary for real-time graphics, retargetable graphics, the high-resolution graphics, the SD card access, the network access, and the 16-channel stereo audio features of the Apollo V4. So it has finished with copy this over. I can proceed now with the original install procedure of AmigaOS 3.2. So click on Install 3.2, click on Install, choose any language you like. I will choose English for this video. And from here on, it will do the installation again, like on a physical Amiga. Fairly straightforward. Make sure to choose your prepared hard disk here, any language. You can choose glow icons or not, it doesn't matter. And now it will copy over from the virtual floppies, from the virtual CD that's on the SD to the physical CD, CF card. So it's comparable to installing it on a physical Amiga where you have the AmigaOS 3.2 CD attached and a floppy drive attached, and it will copy things over to your hard disk. And after it has finished with the installation of AmigaOS 3.2, there's still some post-install optimizations and installations to do, so please bear with me to the end of this video so I can really bring you up to the point that you have a good, solid, working and complete AmigaOS 3.2. All in all, it's very fast. It won't take you more than about 10 minutes to do a complete setup of AmigaOS 3.2 on your Apollo V4 device this way, using ApolloBoot ZERO. So it's already almost finished. So I think it's quite straightforward until now. And after it's finished, I will click on Proceed to continue. And then it will do a reboot. And for last time, it will boot again from the virtual floppies to do some final optimizations because it needs to adjust some stuff in the startup sequence. As you can imagine, we will need to do the soft kick of the Amiga OS ROM in the startup sequence, and we also have to make sure that the icon.library is delayed in loading to avoid any conflicts with the Apollo ROM. So that's taken care of if you click me first in this last time that we booted from the virtual floppy. It will also tell you what it does, optimize. Okay. And after this optimization, we can really move forward into booting from the CF card. So we're now finished with booting from the virtual floppy. We can really power cycle. We have to really power cycle the V4, wait 5 seconds, and on again. I'm doing nothing else, so just straightforward off and on again. And now it will boot from the CF card with the freshly installed AmigaOS 3.2. And as said, you will need some post-install stuff to do. Importantly, it is the Picasso 96 installation to be able to use retargetable graphics and the Apollo Saga driver set for the RTG, for the audio, the networking, and the SD card access. So again, click me first last time and it will tell you what it's going to do. We're going to the Picasso installation, which is a lot of clicking, so please bear with me. Also in the ApolloBoot ZERO guide, there's a really screenshot by screenshot display of anything you have to click or fill in, so you can use that when you don't feel comfortable. There are a few places where you have to really take care of what you do. Most of the time it's just clicking proceed. We don't want to read the manual. This screen, for example, you have to choose at least one card. It doesn't matter which one, just choose one and click on proceed. Also, when coming to this screen, it will ask for work Picasso 96. The work assignment does not exist on AmigaOS, so we have to select another location, and then I choose the locale to place these files on. Application drivers, now we don't need it. Printers also not, and then yes, and a lot of clicking of proceed. They're really fun with this proceeds, like 40 clicks I measured to do a complete setup, but it's part of the, the original feeling of how installations works on an Amiga. We have to install the Apollo Saga. Fortunately, this is quite straightforward. Just click on proceed once here, and then choose the V4, and click again on proceed, and then you're finished. So in this stage, I'm gonna reboot the Amiga, Control Amiga on my keyboard, and then it will reboot again from the hard disk. And if everything is okay, then we could choose a screen resolution, and from there we can do all kinds of stuff you want to do. I would advise to do the upgrade to AmigaOS 3.2.3, or maybe any higher if it's available. And you can do that by copying things over on the SD card. For your convenience, I've placed the SD0, SD1 shortcuts for the mounting on the workbench. So if I click on the SD1, in my case, you can see it opens up the SD card, and this one I can use very easy to transfer files to my PC or Mac and my V4 device. So final thing I'm going to show you is that the graphics is working. So on the screen mode prefs, you can see you can choose the resolutions. Please use up till the 24 bits, because the 32 bits will still have some issues with the color mapping. We are working on that. This is something that's not have anything to do with ApolloBoot ZERO, but to do with the Apollo Saga graphics driver. Okay, we choose save, use, and as you can see, it will do a nice 1280 720 display of your AmigaOS 3.2. So congratulations, we have done a successful installation of AmigaOS 3.2 using ApolloBoot ZERO on your Apollo V4 device. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.